to the channel. It's a travelling comic here, currently on board Cunard's Queen Mary 2, making our way back to Southampton after its 14-night voyage around the Canaries. I've been on it for the last 6 nights, and you've quite possibly already seen a very long video that has gone before this, which is 6 nights on board the Queen Mary 2, including a walkthrough. But this video, well, this is something slightly different. I'm going now to meet the musical director of the Queen Mary 2, Jeff Hughes. I'm going to do an interview with him and find out about his life at sea, his life in music, how he ended up as a musical director on the ship. I think he started way back as part of the Glenn Miller Orchestra. That'll all be revealed in the interview. If that's something you think you'd like to see, well, you know what to do. Keep watching. And as promised, here I am with Queen Mary 2's musical director, Jeff Hughes. Those of you that watch the Queen Mary 2 morning programme will maybe recognise the set. We've actually hijacked Good Morning Queen Mary 2 television studio to do this. Anyway, this is Jeff. Jeff, great to see you again.
Great to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure.
And I was telling the people that you and I never are on stage together at any time because I don't use a musical director.
I tell people you're one of the best acts that I've never worked with.
But I've also told them that you make a point of either coming backstage before my show or when I'm doing the sound check just to say hello, and that means a lot to me because it does. It means I'm going. You no need to do that, and you've taken 2 minutes out of your time to do it. Now, anyway, I'm going to take you way back before I bring you to where you are today. I think I'm right in saying, were you born in Pennsylvania?
Yes, Pennsylvania, where I live, a little town called Greenville, Pennsylvania, which is about 60, 70 miles north of Pittsburgh.
And it appears to be a lovely place because the pictures that you put up of where you live, you recently cut down trees and one thing or another, but you've all these typical. You've a front porch.
Americana town.
You have a front porch out at the house.
Side porch, yeah.
Yeah. You know this.
Amish built, and Greenville's a town of about 6,000 people. Well, it's so small they changed the number when I come home between contracts.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, Bob, time to change the number.
There's one less. There's one more. He's back. In. Now, you didn't start on the ship, so it was contracts. How, first of all, did you get into music? Was it church music?
The church had a large part to do with it. Growing up in the church, Baptist church, my mother was a singer, and I started playing the piano around 6. My joke is I started playing the piano at 6 and I was done by 6:30. But started lessons when I was about 7 years old, and accompanied my mother at things, and grew up playing at church and just studying piano from a young age and continuously all up through university and beyond.
Did you always know music was going to be a career?
I didn't know what the word career meant, but I knew that I loved it. And Mom used to say that she used to say, "Come on, Jeffrey, it's time to eat." Well, I'm practicing, So I never hated practicing.
I once, maybe twice, went to piano lessons, and my biggest regret in life is that I don't play the piano. I have a piano at home, but I think the teacher that I had, she was all wrong because I was doing the scales, and then if I get it wrong, she hit me with a ruler, and I remember as a child I just said, "Look, I'm not going back." Yeah, big regret.
I was very fortunate to have very good teachers. My first teacher actually played at my mom and dad's wedding, and Mom said that I used to go to a piano and kind of tinkle around a little bit just by ear.
Yeah.
And then I learned to use my fingers.
Yeah, go ahead. I was keeping that one in. This is all about you, Jeff. Go for it. Go for it.
So they talked to her and about beginning piano lessons, and she said, "Well, we want to make sure that Jeff goes into first grade so he can learn to read," which I already knew how to do anyway. So then she took me on as a pupil, and I loved it. Loved going to piano lessons.
What was your first gig?
My first gig?
Paid gig.
Well, it would have been in high school, probably playing for some dinner or something.
Okay. Now, you've left school. I'm right in saying, aren't I? You were part of the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
After I went to Youngstown State University, part of the Dana School of Music at Youngstown State in Ohio. Received my music education degree, and then after university, I taught public school for 5 years.
You were a teacher.
I was a junior high school choir director.
Didn't know that.
and did that for 5 years. But my heart wasn't really in teaching. I wanted to play. So I called the Glenn Miller office, and
you actually just rang up the Glenn Miller office.
yeah. I had their number from my college jazz director. So I called them and said, look, I'm looking at leaving teaching. I want to go on the road, perhaps. And always, I loved the Miller Band since I was a kid. And they said, well, the band's in Japan right now on their annual tour. So if you can send us a demo tape, it's a little square thing with round.
Jeff, trust me. You see, my audience, they'll know what a tape is.
Okay,
They actually know what an 8-track is.
Yeah, 8-track. Yeah. So I got some of those at home. And so I did a demo tape and sent it off, and I did an audition with the band, and they liked what I did, but there was nothing available, so I taught another year. And then I got a call to go with the Miller Band. So I left teaching and joined the Glenn Miller Band in September of 1991.
Okay.
And I was with him for a year, and it was a great experience.
Must have been.
Not a lot for the piano in the Miller book, but it was a great life experience. Yeah. Being on the road, on the bus, the motel, the hit and runs, the whole thing. But we did a big band cruise on a ship called the Royal Viking Sun, which was for Gloucester way back in the day.
I'm going to be coming to these old ships because some of the posts that Jeff puts up, he shows a ship and he went, I first performed in this. I honestly think that in the Ark with Noah, this was Noah's musical director.
But every show was a double act. Two of everything.
Yeah. So you were with Glenn Miller Orchestra for a year.
We did the big band cruise, and we were like guest entertainers on it. But that kind of piqued interest in ships. They had the band that played for the review shows. Nothing like what's on the level of cruise ships now. But it was a neat experience, and so after about a year of playing In the Mood, it was like time to do something else.
Yeah.
So one of the guys in the band gave me a business card for an agent out of Montreal, Canada, and got a hold of them and got a gig on a ship called the Regent Star for Regency Cruises, not Regent. Regency Cruises were a private Greek-owned company. They went bankrupt in the mid-90s. But
and what year was that?
I started in October of 1992. So doing the math.
You've been at sea a long time.
A long time, 32 years, minus the 2 years we were all off for the pandemic. But yeah, so I've seen the industry grow from a little ship. My very first ship had one tech guy, one guy who ran the sound and lights. If you wanted the lights to flash on the stage, it was like that. It was all manual,
That's how you made them flash.
And the social hostess ran the spotlight, and there was a bar on the other side. The singer singing, "Nighttime sharp," smoking on the port side, all so different. But I was glad I started in those days. It gave an appreciation for, what it was. It was a lot of great times, And it's a big business now.
Huge business. When did you move to Cunard?
In June of 2015, I was with Celebrity Cruises for 21 years, and loved.
See, some of you people that cruise, I said in the introduction that a lot of people that watch that cruise in Queen Mary 2 will know you, will recognize you immediately. But Celebrity, this is where he is. If you
I run into guests that we saw you on Celebrity, so still they come here as well. So it was a great experience, and just for various reasons of changing agencies that the cruise line used, I ended up coming here, and I've loved the Queen Mary 2. This has been my resident ship since 2015.
Yeah.
We have 35 musicians on board the ship, the
That's
most
that,
of any
that's
ship in the world.
that's the bit I want to come to.
Yeah.
Musical director is not just sitting on the stage backing the artists that come on, and I'll come to that in a minute. And it's not just performing solo, because I've seen you performing solo around the ship. And last night, you had the band in
Dixieland.
the Dixieland. I was at the first show and I actually videoed about 7 seconds. I'll try and put it in, but YouTube, if they pick up a tune, they just they just, but I'll try and
so much fun.
I'll try and do that. So, musical director on the ship, what is your responsibility?
Well, the main responsibility is to lead the what we call the Queen Mary II Orchestra, which backs up guest entertainers that need the band, various groups, vocal groups, instrumentalists, and then like if we're not needed in the theater, we'll do a Dixieland night, or we have a big band where we combine two orchestras together. So there's the musical end of it, which is probably about maybe 40% of it.
Yeah, see, that's the bit I'm interested in. It's the 60% I'm interested in.
The rest of it is basically, just before I came here, I was in my office at the computer looking at the preliminary programs, the daily programs that you as passengers or guests, receive the night before about what's going on board the ship. So everything is listed there, entertainment-wise, for whatever musical groups, where they're performing, I have to create all that. And so I have to work maybe 2 voyages ahead of myself.
Okay.
All right. And so I am the basic manager of all the musicians on board.
All the musicians.
All the musicians.
So the folk groups that are on, which are brilliant on Cunard. It was what a genius idea they had.
They had a great night the other night.
Yeah.
Did you see that in the Queen's room? Brilliant.
So you're in charge of them?
I don't hire anybody, but they're on-board representative, basically manager, dealing with any issues they may have, putting the planner together of where the various theme nights will be. All of that goes into a lot of on the computer planning things.
Now the other thing, of course, is if you're at in the Royal Court Theatre and there are guest entertainers, unlike myself, those that sing, Jeff and his whole band backs that up. Now, what a lot of people don't realise is you only meet them at 5 o'clock. Usually rehearsals. They're usually rehearsals at 5 o'clock, and the first show is 8:15. And they arrive. At what point is that when you get their music, or do some of them give it to you maybe the day they arrive, maybe a couple of days before the show? Or
if they arrive and they'll maybe drop the charts off in my office, and some of the guys might look at them or not, particularly the sax players, to see if there's doubles on clarinet or something like that. But like embarkation night, we always play for an act, and
of course you do.
You get on that day,
yeah,
just as you do. So we see the music at 5 o'clock. They hand me the dots, I pass them out to the band. All right, here we go. And one rehearsal, usually we'll bash in about 45 minutes to an hour, and do the show that night. And then the next night might be a production show. The production shows live on the ship, so we've played them many times. But the different entertainers that come on and off the ship, you're on for one voyage. Then the next voyage, another whole lot of guest acts come on. So it's my band, which is an 8-piece band, 4 horns, 4 rhythm. You are obviously required to be able to sight read. Reading is the main thing. Some of the jazz groups, other bands, they're fantastic at what they do, and they have their repertoire. But we get one shot and do it, and I love that. I've said this for 30 years. I love being up on the deck at 2 in the afternoon, having a coffee, going, I have no idea what I'm going to play tonight. And you might think, well, how can you do a job like that? And I don't know. We're very blessed in what we do.
And another thing that I have noticed, and it seems to be particular to you and your band on this ship. I don't recall it in any other ship. When Jeff walks out with the band before the show starts, you usually get a round of applause.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen on every other ship,
No.
I don't. Have you created this a way of doing that the audience?
A little bit. It may not happen on the first night. It depends. Especially on this ship, we do many long voyages, world cruises, and we have guests that are on for 30, 40 days or more.
Yeah.
And they do get to know us. I usually walk out and I just give a little bit of a nod, and then
See, that must be what it is. It's just that.
And nothing will happen. I'm like, well, it'll happen in time. And this happened. We just recently completed a 35-day voyage. Now, the first part of the voyage, we were not on stage. We were on for one show, but then we were off for a bit, and we went on stage, and it was nothing. And I'm like, yeah, we'll get them,
Yeah.
And it became almost like a game because they're like, oh, what are they going to do tonight? Because they know, because the guest entertainers will often say, we just got on, we had one rehearsal, they've never seen the music, blah, blah, blah. And they're out there like, the same 8 guys, what are they going to do? And so it's nice. It's nice. It's not a forced thing, but it's an acknowledgement like, hello, And I am a very personable, I'm outgoing around the ship.
Yeah,
People know me,
yeah.
And in the industry for 30-some years and on this ship since 2015, so many of the same guests. I have my fan base, shall we say.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I know you do.
And so it's nice, and the guys appreciate that. I remember one time after this sort of walking on stage thing, a couple of my guys would like start a thing, and I'm like, no, we got to earn it.
Yeah.
No, don't make it look patronizing.
Yeah, don't be like some acts I'll meet some acts and say, I got a standing ovation. And how they got the standing ovation is in their last song will say, everybody on your feet, please. Exactly. Everybody on your feet. The place gets up and then they say to me, I got a standing ovation. And I go, no, you didn't. Now tell me this. We're going to dish the dirt now, but we're not going to name anybody. Guest entertainers come on. They give you their music. You do the rehearsal. Is there anybody, I don't want you to name them now, it's just a yes or no. Is there anybody that you're looking at your schedule 2 weeks ahead and you go, this is going to be this.
Oh
one.
yeah.
So
oh sure.
Is that majority or minority?
It's a minority.
Yeah, but
there's some, and I'll give you some of the reasons. Number one might be some entertainers really do not look at their arrangements. They have somebody do them, and we all make little marks in them. Some of the arrangements may not be the best. Excuse me.
Cough it up. It's only a lung.
It could be that. It could be just the volume on stage sometimes. There's just things you just have to keep your mouth shut.
And is it the artist is in charge on stage, or is it you? Have you to take charge in a way that they think they're in charge, if you know what I mean by that?
There have been some occasions, but again, it's a minority. I do find there are some acts that...
I'm going to ask them afterwards who they are, see if I know them. No, I'm not.
We probably will agree.
Yeah, funny enough, young Max Fulham is on. I'd never seen Max before. Had you seen him?
Fantastic, yeah.
He's brilliant. But he and I went for dinner, and he happened to mention an act, and I didn't say anything, and he said, I can tell by your face you agree with me on that. And I went, yeah. And then we started to go over a list of people that we avoid.
I actually had a guest a few voyages ago said to me, we can tell when you're not really happy with the act on stage from your reaction. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, oh my.
I'm going to have to work at that. There's
and the piano like, oh God, is this over yet? Some of it might be just due to maybe inexperience. Some are very experienced, but I think they may have some, what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm at the same age as you, Jeff. I'm with you.
Yeah, there's a
the words escape us, don't they?
It's right there. Type in if you know the word we're thinking
Yeah, put it in the comments.
Introverted, they're maybe insecure.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for sometimes. But what I encourage with my band is we work in conjunction with the act, because sometimes my horn section especially, they'll stop in a rehearsal before we go to the next song and talk about what phrasing do you want to do in the entertainer? I want to go to the next song. I'm like, well, just one moment. We're looking at all this, and they actually like that because wow, the band is actually
Interested.
interested in this, and making sure the phrasing and all that. And not a lot of bands do that. I've been fortunate. I've had many of the same guys in my band over the last several years, 2, 3, 4 years or more.
Yeah, I recognize them.
Al, my drummer, is like he's the best in the industry. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, sometimes I will try to help. There's some points where you just go like, eh. The sad thing about in the industry we're seeing now with a lot of guest entertainers is because a lot of cruise lines are cutting back on their musicians.
Mm.
Some lines have no horns at all, so they're going to what's called click tracks and backing tracks. And we use that a lot on here. So we're here, click 1, 2, 3, play. It's like a metronome. And so we follow that. So sometimes it's like, oh, okay, the pressure's off of me as a conductor. But then again, the more you get that constant click track shows, new musicians come on, and they really don't know what it's like to really make a mistake.
Yeah.
And me as a conductor. And the worst thing for me is if I mess up the guest entertainer show. But I learned that years ago. That's the only thing that it keeps you humble and makes you a better band leader, because you go, I'm sorry, I counted the wrong tempo in. But if you're spoon-fed everything with a metronome click, well, how do you know?
Well, it must.
Some people call it old school, but that's what it is, and it's just, I hope it remains that way.
And it must be great as a singer to have an 8-piece band behind you, because I know, as you said, I've been on some ships and there's only 3. There's only 3 in the band.
And the advantage of being a pianist always is an accompanist. So pianists and vocalists always have worked hand in hand for decades. Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Sinatra, all of them had their pianist conductor. Tony Bennett, had their pianist conductor. So I have an advantage of that as a band leader, that if things go south in a rehearsal or in a show, I can get away from my piano and get everyone back in line. If you're behind a drum kit or a horn, what do you do? Where do you go?
True. Again,
yell a bunch of superlatives at the band.
True. I've been on ships because I always go to the shows, and I try to see who's conducting. It wasn't the keyboard conductor. It's maybe somebody in the bass guitar conduct. But I think I think what you do is right. Yeah. Now I'm looking at the clock because it's 5 minutes to 12, which means that shortly there's going to be sirens and horns, and the captain's going to make his announcement. So this will be as good a time as any to bring this to a close. Queen Mary 2 and Cunard, of course, will always have the big bands on their ships. Yeah. It's part of the Cunard experience.
Yeah, we have 2 orchestras. We have my band. We have another orchestra that plays in the Queen's Room, the ballroom nightly, and occasionally we'll combine the bands together.
Yeah, and that is a fabulous night.
And that's my background because, like I said, with the Glenn Miller band, we're able to do a lot of those Miller arrangements.
Yeah.
And,
I've been to see that.
It's a great night. It's the only line that has that.
It is fabulous. Music, while I'm not a musician and I don't do that on the ship, music is a huge part of the Cunard ships, and it's great to be. I'm a guest when I'm on. I'm not on chain. I'm a guest, and it's great to go to all those shows and see it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you've liked this video, hit the thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and when you come on Queen Mary 2, trust me, look for Jeff, and he'd be more than happy to sit down and chat to you. Jeff, it's been a pleasure as ever.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
See you in the next one.
Happy sailing.
Bye.